doing this at a different time. Because the moon struck. And it doesn't happen very often anymore. And I'm also recovering from a pretty gnarly cold. So if I start hacking, don't worry about it. I mean, what do I expect? I was in 3 major cities and spent over 10 hours on an airplane. Yeah, you expect to catch the plague when you do stuff like that. But I have a new sort of nifty life tip for people with avoidant personality disorder. And that is avoid newbie doctors, which should maybe be obvious. Not. I mean, my doctor, my regular doctor, I've had for like 15 years. And one of the reasons that I picked a doctor was because she's part of a pretty big practice, which meant that they could always just fill in somebody if my doctor wasn't available, which generally works. Except that they also have new residents that are basically learning their stuff, and have like no sense of subtlety at all, and are used to following things by the book, and are used to not making any decisions but referring to somebody else. So I had surgery last week. Last month. So I keep having follow-up appointments, which obviously I don't need to have my good doctor who has lots of experience. I'm not sick with some new thing that needs to be sorted. I'm just doing a checkup. And they keep giving me these newbie doctors. And the other thing is, I'm flagged every time I go to the doctor. I have to fill out a depression questionnaire. It's just automatic because of my history. And I fill the thing out, and it's actually better than it's been in quite a while, because, I spent almost a week in Italy and was going. I think I walked 37 odd miles in 4 days. I keep hearing something. It might be a cat following me. And doing way more than I normally do. So I fill out this survey, and it's actually higher than it has been in quite a while. And yet the newbie doctor saw the numbers and absolutely freaked out. Take my history and freak out. You know what? It's not my fault that I lost my entire family this year. I didn't kill my mother. Wasn't the one that made my father lose his mind. And I definitely wasn't the one that made my son act like he's been acting lately. Come on. But I'm not the one to blame for having avoidant personality disorder, which means it's not my fault that I don't have people in my life. It's not my fault that medications doesn't work on me. It's not my fault that therapy doesn't really work on me. Definitely nothing that's normal. I mean, I swear to God, this newbie doctor was like, well, have you tried, I don't know what the actual letters are, something like EMD or something like that, which is some sort of eye movement thing that you're supposed to do to kill depression. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's not my fault that hospitalization doesn't work. It actually makes everything worse, and it's extremely well documented in my case, and they've seen the history. Anyway, so I had to do a follow-up last night, and saw this newbie doctor who freaked out and was like, okay, well, I don't have the expertise for this, and it's really scary looking, and I need you to have a psych evaluation so that I don't have to worry about you. It is Thanksgiving this week, and I don't want to worry about you. And I, told her point blank that me being in sort of a industrial situation like that, that's not the right word, it's early in the morning, and I was in the hospital last night, makes things worse. I'm like, this is about you. And she's like, no, it's about you. It's like, no, especially with these freaking doctors, when there's a long established history. And yes, it looks pretty bad. How many checklists do I have to have? They're like, oh, you went to Italy. So that's like checking off a bucket list type thing. So you're doing all this stuff in order to, check it off the list so that you can end things, right? I'm like, I went to Italy because I'm finally free of my kid, which is an awful thing to say, but seriously, he was supposed to be in college. Not my fault he's out of college. It was incredibly cheap, and the timing was right, and I had the time to do it, and why not? Making assumptions. Am I suicidal every day? Yep. And I've explained to people, it's actually, I think my very first video, is that sometimes it's actually a source of soothing and relief to know that at some point this is going to be over with. And how to make people sick. Say, you have to go through all these trials and tribulations in order to earn your death. And they look at you like, oh my God, you sad, pathetic thing. And it's like, you know what? My experience is valid because it's my experience. You're saying that everybody has a right to be on Earth, therefore everybody has a right to have their own experience. I didn't sit there and go into some sort of emo tailspin and make this stuff up. It happened to me. You are caused to become avoidant. It's not organic. People aren't born or avoidant. You can't make yourself avoidant. And considering it starts in childhood, you really don't have a way of kicking people out of your life as a child who cause you to become avoidant. This is not my fault. And it's really obnoxious that these newbie doctors are like, okay, well, I don't feel good, therefore I'm going to force you to do all this shit. So this doctor was all like, oh, well, will you please do it for me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll go. She's like, okay, you're going to the ER, and I'm going to follow up on it. I'm going to make sure that you go. If you don't go, then I'm going to have the police haul you in. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I go to the ER, and they give you this questionnaire, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't imagine that the average human being, unless they're lying and trying to get out of it, could answer these 5 questions all with a no. They're the most basic, simple, broken down questions. It's like when they do the Myers-Briggs tests. Do you like this or do you like that? And it's really basic. The thing is that when they do a Myers-Briggs test, they give you 300 questions to answer. And then they can sort of figure out, okay, is this an anomaly? Or is this, I'm going to start hacking, sorry. Is this how you feel consistently across the board? And then try to sort it. And then they sort it into 16 different categories. But this is 5 questions, which is far too few. And so to answer the five questions, I mean, I suppose it's good. I was really, really fast. The ER was blazing busy. And they never had me sit in the waiting room. Kind of awesome. Put me back in the ER psych unit, which is gross, under a camera because they're afraid that I'm going to kill myself in the middle of the hospital. Like, no. And finally, and it was really, I gotta say, it was really fast. I think it was like 4 hours. That's astoundingly fast for a hospital. They had somebody come in and I'm like, okay, I have this thing. It's permanent because I'm too old. My personality is set. It's not a brain chemical imbalance. I am not affected by medications. Therapy doesn't really work because they haven't done enough research to find one that really works on people with avoidant personality disorder. Seriously, like I said, I think the closest thing that I've come across, I haven't done everything. Like I said, this nut job wanted me, this other one once wanted me to do this thing with hot rocks on my back. What? Okay, I'm going to turn around. Because I could probably harp on this all day. And it is getting chilly out here. But, give me a break. No, I haven't tried everything. I haven't had a lobotomy. But they've actually studied it, and lobotomies have had no effect on avoidant personality disorder because it's your personality. It can shut down some strange, weird behaviors, stop seizures, stuff like that, but it's not a brain problem. It's your personality. So doing something like that is not going to work. I have never seen electroshock therapy done. But you know what? I think it's the same because, yes, I am depressed. I'm depressed for a damn good reason. I have avoidant personality disorder and can't have people in my life. Both of my parents and my child are gone in 1 year. 10 months. Duh! I actually think I'm doing better than most people would. You know why? Because I've been, having things kicked out from under me for my entire life. I'm kind of used to it. It's always a shock when it happens. Unbelievable what happened with my kid. I'm just kicking the teeth, especially because, that was the next thing. He's gone, I think it was Tuesday last week. What's today? No, it was, okay. Yeah, Tuesday. No, it could have been Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday. Right after I got back. It was a day or two after I got back from Italy. I got a call from DHHS. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm getting hammered on top of everything else. I'm getting a claim from DHHS. I can't believe this. Come on. The kid hasn't lived with me. The kid assaults me. What the hell am I being investigated for? And I call my son. I'm like, okay, who was it? It was either my cousin or his father. Somebody called it in against me. And I swear to God, my son said, I am not going to rat out my family. And I'm just like, okay, you tell everybody under the sun everything that you don't like about me. But you don't rat out your family. So I guess I'm not your family. Cool. Therefore, I don't have to feel upset about you anymore. Although, that was another thing. My therapist this week. Because I saw my therapist. I went to the hospital last night. Saw my therapist the day before that. And he's like, I don't know why you're upset about your kid. You can't change his behavior. I'm like, okay, yeah, that part I get. Why am I not upset about my kid? The way he's treating me? What? I mean, if it was an average Joe, even if it was like, somebody I was dating who was suddenly being a dick like that, okay, I could get it. But my kid treating me like that? Yeah, that's upsetting. I mean, yes, he's a brat kid, but still, hello. I think I'm allowed to be upset when somebody treats you that badly. Anyway, back to the point, which I don't even remember what my point was. But in a nutshell, the social worker said, I'm doing everything that I can. It's clear this is a long history. It's clear this is like my permanent condition in how I experience life. And it might not be what she considers correct or ideal. Or even for me, she thinks it could get better. But obviously there's nothing that can be done. Because they don't know a treatment that works for somebody with avoidant personality disorder. I saw something a while back that said it's like this shy of a delusion. Okay, but guess what? They don't have a way of treating that either. I don't know. I'm really annoyed. And I've got to say, like I said, do not tell, no, don't not tell, but don't work with newbie doctors that don't have a clue. Because they are going to go by the books and they are not going to understand, hey, I'm just saying, you know what? If somebody was in a fire and had their legs burned off, you're not going to expect them to be able to walk across the room. And if they're in pain, in chronic pain, and they're being treated for it, and they come in and they're like, yeah, my legs hurt, you don't send them to the ER to try to get it fixed when it's a permanent condition. Anyway, very frustrating. Oh, yeah, and then on top of everything else, they called my therapist from the ER. And then he leaves me this message. I actually couldn't really listen to it. I tried to listen to it twice and I got like 10 seconds down and I couldn't listen to this at all. So I sent him a text saying, listen, everything's cool. I got a new doctor who jumped the gun and, said point blank she did not have the expertise to handle my situation. And so she sent me to the ER and that's it. And it was a pain in the ass and I did it. I complied. I did what they told me to do. I have a history doing that last year. Actually, when I was trying to get my therapist, I went to the doctor to try to get the referral to get a therapist. And they're like, yeah, you need to go to this inpatient hospital thing. And it was one of the worst things I've ever done. One of the worst things I could have ever done. Yes, it's the knee-jerk reaction to somebody that has my type of situation going on. However, you got to have a little bit of a brain and put together that, okay, that might work for the general population, but somebody with avoidant personality disorder is not the general population. Sometimes you got to do something different. And the same thing, I just went along with what the doctor said because I needed the doctor to shut up and get off my case. And screwed myself over even worse. Okay, so last night was not that bad. It was not fun. It was a massive waste of time and money. And then they got in touch with my therapist, and I'm sure there's going to be repercussions for weeks or months because this stupid doctor didn't have a clue and overreacted. It's like you look at the history. If the history is the same and stable for decades, then obviously it's not an emergency. Duh. Anyway, and about my kid, yes, he is living almost New York. He's living in Connecticut. I think I'm going to go see him next week. Crazy, I know. because I'm going to be in Boston anyway, and it's like halfway to him, so I may as well go and basically drop his stuff off. That's all he cares about is his stuff. He doesn't want to see me, but that's my kid. For Thanksgiving, I'm doing nothing. I bought my cat some turkey, like little turkey cat food meals, and they'll have that. And I'm doing nothing. It's weird and hard to go through these holidays completely, utterly alone without even having somebody to talk to. Now again, saying that sort of thing is what puts me in the friggin' hospital. But you know what? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. This is life circumstance. If somebody crashes their car, you're not going to be like, oh my God, you're massively depressed because you're not going to work. Guess what? You can't go to work. Your car is smashed. That has nothing to do with it. So I'm really annoyed, again, that, life has caused this. Oh my God. And even the social worker last night, she's like, that's a choice you're making to not be interacting with anybody on the holiday. I'm like, everybody is gone. My mother's dead. My father's lost his mind. And my son is 200 and some miles away and won't speak to me and keeps blocking me even though I'm paying for his phone. It's not my fault. Anyway. Okay, that's enough ranting. And that's what's going on. So, I had a great time in Italy. I put up the Instagram. I took over 900 pictures. And now it's like, all that goodness is wiped out because I had to go to the doctor for a follow-up on my stupid surgery. Oh, and also next week. Okay, so how this all started. This is TMI, I don't care. I had symptoms, so I had a colonoscopy. The colonoscopy diet triggered gallbladder attacks, so the day after I had this emergency gallbladder surgery. Well, guess what? They actually found something weird. Too weird to be taken out during a colonoscopy. Normally they go in and they clip this and they clip that and they just do it at the time. So apparently there's something else that's too big and actually needs to be corrected. So I'm going to a surgeon next week also to see about another surgery on my guts. Great. Which again I'll be completely alone for. Great. I mean, that'll be the good thing. At least I won't have my kid showing up the day after when I'm still doped on drugs and trying to beat me up. And that's a really harsh thing to say, but seriously, that's the other thing that I keep hearing. Well, at least, he's gone, but you're not being assaulted anymore. You're safe now. Like, that's a sick thing to have as a silver lining because my son is gone, but it's also true. Anyway, that's enough ranting. And it's absolutely freezing out here. And I'm going to go in and warm up somehow. Bye.